We are talking about one of my favorite things, and I'm so excited, but it was weird before filming this video. I started sneezing really bad. I'm like, why do I sound suddenly stuffy? So unfair for this video. Hello friends, happy Wednesday. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm excited to be here too, even though I said I feel like now I sound congested and sick, and I'm like, I feel fine. I'm like, why did I start sneezing before this Top 5 Wednesday video? But in case if you're not familiar with Top 5 Wednesday, in a nutshell, basically each week I answer a prompt using 5 books, but in this case I do manga to reflect the said prompt. And this week's prompt is music. We are just talking about all of the musical things. It could be books that center around music or books that have characters that play an instrument or they sing, just long as it has music some way, some form in the story. And I'm so very excited. I had a blast choosing these different manga for today's prompt. In fact, I shared in my first Top 5 Wednesday video of series that I want to read this year. 2 of these series, that's where I went unhinged. That is where I went unhinged. But for the first one, it's not one that I was unhinged. It was actually one of my first reads, if not my very first read of last year, of 2022. So for number 1, I am saying Anonymous Noise. Oh my goodness. My friend Michelle, she recommended this manga to me, got me introduced to it, and it was so good. It was so good. I still have not seen the anime. I want to see it because I want to see some of the songs performed and how it sounds, because I think it'd just be really exciting. But oh my goodness. This manga totally rocked my world. I do have a video review up on this channel if you're curious about it because I had all the non-spoiler things, but I had so many feelings when reading this because it's about our main girl Nino. This is an ultimate love triangle kind of situation where I'm like, I just felt a lot of things. That's the non-spoiler version of it. But Nino, she loves singing. She's been obsessed with it. She's been singing all of her life. Her best friend, Momo, who she sang with, he ends up moving when they were a kid, and she is so heartbroken. And then she meets another young man. His name is Yuzu, and he is a music composer. They really hit it off, and they make music together, but then he ends up also leaving, and both of these young men tell her, it will be your voice that leads me to you. So she actively pursues singing, as like even more so than I think she did when she was a kid. And then she goes and starts high school, and of all things, she sees Yuzu. But even though she's very happy to be reunited with Yuzu, she still thinks about her childhood friend Momo. This was such an amazing read. Like I said, it's definitely a love triangle, but I really loved the musical aspect so very much. It was definitely my favorite part of this series. I really just felt like Nino's feelings when she's singing and her passion and her heart, that I really just felt like it just comes off the page so strongly and so vividly that I really just felt the music was alive, that I could hear it in my head and just feel it wrapped around me, and it was such a surreal and very cool experience. It was definitely, like I said, one of my favorite aspects of the manga, and it was just so surreal to be able to feel that because I felt like I was struggling before this series, that if it was a music-themed manga that you had to be able to hear the music, but when it's written so well, your brain just creates the music and doesn't even need to audibly hear something. I feel like that is just such powerful storytelling, and this was definitely it. Though, I mean, don't get me wrong, it has quite a bit of drama, it has a whole bunch of angst, but I love the characters and how just each person grows as an individual, but definitely in their musical abilities and how they grow and change. It was so satisfying, especially as a music lover. I love this, and I definitely recommend it. I am bummed that like quite a few of the volumes in the middle are sort of out of stock right now, so I'm hoping that they come back in stock because this is a series I did read from my library, but it's definitely one I would not mind having for myself. For number 2, I'm so excited to be talking about this one. This is one of the series that got me unhinged, and I didn't realize I was not saying the full title because the full title is Full Moon o Sagashite, and it is by Arina Tanemura. I believe I said her name right, and I feel like she is such an iconic mangaka. In fact, wait, pause. Let me finish this first, talking about Full Moon. I am very, very excited to just be able to read this. In fact, yesterday I picked it up from my library and I was like, I have all the volumes I can start. Wrong. I'm missing volume 5. And I was like, oh, I was so ready to start this because it sounds so cute. But first, let's appreciate the art because this manga's art style, I mean, this here is this is shoujo manga. Like this style here, I'm like, this is shoujo. It's so cool and exciting to see, and I love it. I love this cover. I feel it's very pretty, very engaging, but I didn't really know what this manga was about until I picked it up, and I honestly, yes, I do. I honestly don't even know why I got it. I got it because of this prompt, actually, and it's very interesting because this young woman, she also loves singing like Nino from Anonymous Noise, but the thing is she has a tumor that's in her throat and prevents her from pursuing her passion of wanting to sing, and I think that one of her dreams is to become an actual professional singer, but she can't because she has this tumor. And so I think it says, yeah, it says two fun-loving harbingers of death. They appear to her, and I don't know if they grant her, it says they give her a temporary reprieve from her illness and help her pursue her dream of being, and give her a singing career a magical push start. As was say, help pursue her dream of a pop star, but I don't know if that's actually her dream. But these two people enter her life, and I guess that they help her somehow. I know when I read the beginning, like she's like, can I have my hair dyed like a different color? And they're like, what? But they're like, okay, whatever. And I thought that was really cool because she's only 12. Yeah, she's 12 years old. And I just like, I feel like that would be me if I was 12 years old. Like, because that's like one of the things I've been most conflicted about is dyeing my hair, but I've really wanted to dye it. Anyway, that was sort of off topic, but I really actually like that aspect a lot. And I was totally intrigued after that, and I'm very curious to see where this series goes. I think it's only 7 volumes or 8 volumes, and again, I love the art style. This is actually going to be my first time reading this manga's work, and what I was going to say earlier, but got sort of was like, okay, one thing at a time, is I'm hoping later this year that I can review a bunch of this manga's works, because again, I love her art style, and it seems like she has such a fun, I don't know if relatable is the right word, but just fun girl shoujo stories that I'm very interested in and curious where to go. So I can't talk much about this one, but I know that it's music based, and I know that those two characters help her where she can go and pursue her love of singing professionally. But I think though that there is a twist where her grandma is like, no, we don't want it. We don't want you to do it. So I don't know what happens, but I feel like there is some conflict. So even though she's able to sing, because I did see a page where she is, I'm so happy for her, but I'm like, if her grandma is so against it, I'm like, what is she gonna do? So this is another music-based, music-themed manga, and I cannot wait to dive into it. I need volume 5 like yesterday, literally, so I could actually start this series. For number 3, this is a huge shout out to Mainly Manga on Instagram. This is for him. He has put this on my radar like since last year, kind of put on my radar. And so for number 3, I am featuring Blue Giant. I recently picked up this series. Probably shouldn't have because I bought too much from the bundle sale that Right Stuff was having in the month of December. But Professor Otaku, he had shared that it was in a bundle, and I was like, oh my goodness, I have been really wanting to get this series. Like I said, many thanks to Mainly Manga. We've talked about it. He tells me how good it is, and I finally got it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. The reason I am most interested in this is because growing up, my papa, before he passed away, jazz was like our thing, and we both loved the saxophone, and my sister actually played the saxophone in high school when she was in marching band. So I feel like there's a lot of elements that make me very interested and attracted to this manga. I don't know much about it except for that this young man, he's in his senior year. He feels like he's missing out on something. He's part of the basketball team. He's doing part-time jobs. I can imagine he's studying, and I think his friend takes him to a concert. He is just like blown away by the performance. I think it says, yeah, jazz hit him like a thunderbolt. Oh my goodness. Just in the preview that I read on Amazon, yes, I felt like when he has his moment of when he is hooked on jazz, I'm like, dude, I remember having that same moment with my papa and being in his truck when we were driving, because we lived in 2 different states, so they'd come up and get me and I'd go back down to their house. And I'm like, I remember that moment so clearly, and I am so interested in seeing where this young man's journey goes. Again, I have heard nothing but great things about this, and I know that Japan is getting a movie of, I don't know if it's the full series, but some part of this series. And I'm really hoping that we get it in English and then it'll come to the States, because I'm like, yes. Huge shout out to Professor Otaku for sharing about the bundle, because in his stories on Instagram, otherwise I would have super missed out, but I'm so thankful to have it and really looking forward to reading it. For number 4, speaking of Professor Otaku, I had to feature this, and that is Shonen Note. This was one of the manga that he gifted me. You can watch the video here if you want to see the other things that he gifted me. Oh my goodness, the nostalgia of this. Like, the whole volume wasn't extremely nostalgic, but the final pages were. When I was getting ready for this video, I was just thinking of songs that I sang in high school when I was part of the chorus, and was so exciting, and just really like, oh, I really wish back. Sometimes I could go back to those days where you're just learning new music, and I really love our main young man here. His name is Utica. He just loves singing. He loves music, and when he hears very beautiful music, he gets very emotional and starts crying, and I just think it is the coolest thing, especially that he is a young man. Like, he's in middle school, and one of the things that's very interesting is that he can sing soprano, and I was about to get into spoilers almost by accident. There are things that happen, and his middle school choir, it really wants him to be, well, I feel like it's a little bit of an understatement, but I believe that's what the blurb said. Oh, okay. Yes, it does say that the choir eagerly accepts him into their ranks. I feel like that's a little bit exaggerated, a little bit, given things that happen, but I love this. This is such a wonderful music-based story. I am very much invested in this young man's life, and how music affects him and touches him is very powerful. Like, not just for our main character, but I feel like Utica shows how music impacts all of us. Like, not just him, but in real life, how music can affect us in a negative way or in a positive way. And I hope that there's just good things in store for this young man, because there was a lot that was going at him near the end of this volume, and I'm like, I really want to see where things go. And I really love the cast of characters, especially his two friends. They are fantastic, and especially the one guy, I can't remember his name, but he was so amazing. I really loved him. So if you are a fan of music, this is one I would definitely recommend checking out as well. I don't know of any other manga that actually feature young boys that sing soprano music, so that was very interesting and fascinating to me. It's not a huge part, I think, yet, but I think it's going to play a bigger role, and another element of this story that I'm very much looking forward to. Thank you so much, Professor Otaku, for gifting me this. Oh my goodness, it was so good. For number 5, I am so excited to feature this one, though I'm hoping I'm saying the title right, and that is La Corda Delor. I think that's how you say that. I'm not sure if that's French or Italian. And yes, I don't have volume 1. I have this whole series checked out from my library, or put on hold. For whatever reason, volume 16 and 17 came before anything else, even though I put the holds in like a week after I did volumes 1 through 15. I'm like, okay, we're just gonna roll with it. So I'm featuring this volume because it has, I'm assuming, all of the characters. So I have been recommended this manga when I shared my thoughts about Your Lie in April. I can't remember her name, but she had shared that she thought I might like this because it is music-based. I don't know how actually similar it is to Your Lie in April, but I know that's the first time it had came on my radar. I took a screenshot, and then I just forgot to actually go and check it out from my library. And then here recently, I don't remember what video it was, but I got a recommendation for this one, and they're like, I think you would really like it. I would love to see it on your channel. And I'm like, well, man, this is the second time I've got a recommendation. It's time to go check it out. And that is what I did. Well, I put it on hold. We're still waiting for me to actually check it out. But this is one of the series that also I got in Hinge that I was planning to read. Now, it's interesting because even though I looked up this manga, but I did not remember what it was about. But it's super interesting because this girl here, her name is Kahoko. She goes to high school. She's in the general education department, and she's there for schooling and such. So maybe she's actually in college, not high school. She's in school. We'll just say that. And I don't know what goes on at this school, but she has no kind of musical ability. But of all things, she sees an elusive fairy that like lives or visits this campus. And this fairy gives her a magical violin that she apparently performs extremely, extremely well. And somehow I think gets involved with the musical department. But not only does she get involved with the musical department, but there are 5 attractive guys that are around her. And this is either going to be a giant love story, I think it was said love rivalry, or just a mashup of all of the things. I think I was told that this is based off of an otome game in Japan. Hopefully that is correct. But I had no idea that that was the actual premise of this story. And I really wish I had been able to flip through volume 1 so I could actually give more thoughts about it. But I told myself that I could not look in this final volume. Yeah, in this final volume, because I did not want to give myself spoilers. But I'm very, very curious about about it because I was like, why is there a fairy on campus? Why does he give her this magical violin? And what happens after she gets the magical violin, especially since she has like no magic or no musical abilities? Because I'm like, wonder if somebody is like, hey, since you're so good at the violin, why don't you go play the piano? And she's like horrible at the piano. And wonder if the guy that she's crushing on finds out. Like, what is she gonna do? What is she gonna do? So I feel like that has some very interesting dilemmas. I am very curious about seeing how the musical aspect is in this story because I think maybe I don't know if it's just violins or not because I think cover 16, one of the young men is also playing a violin, but I want to safely say that there's other orchestra instruments that are also being played in this manga. I don't know. I just know it's a music-based manga, and that was part of why I wanted to feature it today. It's actually another reason why I checked out this series because I'm like, oh, I've got 2 recommendations and it's music. It is perfect for today. So if you've read this manga, please let me know what you think about it because I only know there's 2 people that have, and I'm very curious because I was like, for whatever reason, the fairy aspect sold me on the manga, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's more to this, but hopefully it will be a very interesting otome game premise, or otome game inspired premise, I should say. And last but not least, for my honorable mention, I am doing the manga When We Shout for Love. Oh my goodness, I love it so much. Distinctly Volume 2. It is one of my favorite manga titles I've read in the past that really just captures the power and the passion of music and how it can just get you fired up. I honestly felt like in that second volume, I was at the concert with the main character. It lives in my brain rent-free. It lives in my brain rent-free. I forget the main girl's name right now, but she is very much an introvert. She just loves going home, getting up in her blankie and listening to her favorite idol band. But the thing is when she decides, I forget why she decides to, but she decides to practice the dance at school. I think a new album came out. She finds out that one of the most popular guys, who's also very much a lone wolf, that he also loves the same idol group that she does. They sort of form a friendship. Well, not sort of. They end up forming a friendship and they end up practicing together. It eventually leads to a romance. It's a very sweet. The 3rd volume was not my favorite. I do have a video review up on this channel, but I highly recommend the series, especially volumes 1 and 2. They were so good. I wish the series was longer, but I had such a great and wonderful time reading it. I think technically that was my first music manga that I ever read because I'm pretty sure I read it before Anonymous Noise, but I'm not 100% sure. Actually, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that I very much enjoyed it and I was like, it must be featured today. Such a fun and wonderful story, very sweet romance as well, and just the music is so good. Oh, I loved it so much. But those are all my picks for today. I hope that you enjoy them. I can't wait to get into some of these and finally actually read them. I feel like I have more unread manga today than I did for read manga. Totally let me know down below, do you enjoy listening to music? What's some of your favorite music that you enjoy listening to? Also, have you read any of these manga? Let me know down below. I would love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!